What's going on? Alex here, and today we're answering some questions from Reddit. So this question comes from mine truly. Can a Joe Schmo like me earn interest by making microloans, such as with a service like LendingClub? I've seen ads for services where a regular person can loan money, say $300, and earn 14% interest. I've been looking for low-risk ways to invest a few hundred to a few $1,000s for a period of 1 to 2 years, but haven't found any good interest rates on savings accounts or CDs. Are places that let you make small, short-term loans and collect 10% plus interest legit? If so, what companies have the best reputations and what dangers should I watch out for? All right, so the first thing is that you need to equate the word return with the word risk, okay? Because they're absolutely interchangeable, and the finance industry tries to separate the two and leads you to think that you can get high returns with low risk. Now, if that was the case, you'd have to think of why the big banks like Morgan, Merrill, and Goldman not making those loans to make a sweet 14% return annually. Why is that being left to you? The answer is that those banks are not willing to take that kind of risk for that kind of return. And while there's trillions of dollars of investment capital available out there to be lent to individuals for such a high rate of return, at the end of the day, these people have already done their analysis and they've determined that the net present value of that investment is going to be negative most likely, if not zero, or so low that it's not going to justify taking the time to make that investment. So those opportunities are being available to you and me as retail consumers because essentially nobody else is going to take it, all right? And you have to consider that when you have 10% plus returns, if it sounds too good to be true, if it just sounds great, like nothing else you've heard of, then it's probably due to the fact that there's so much risk involved that not only is it risky for you, it was so risky that the finance and the people in the high towers of the industry didn't want to touch it. So that's really something to keep in mind. If you steer yourself in a direction where you equate high returns with high risk, it'll allow you to see past so much bullshit in the financial industry that people try to put in front of you, because I've seen it so many times where clients will come to me and they'll say, hey, you know, I have this opportunity to make a lot of money and there's really low risk. Whoa, stop right there. You lost me, because it doesn't exist where there's a high return and low risk. The way finance works, those opportunities are arbitraged out. That's a fancy way of saying that somebody else is going to take advantage of that with a lot more money than you, and they're going to get there a lot earlier. So you have to think of these opportunities, or so-called opportunities, that are available to everyday people. Why aren't the big banks in there first? Why aren't the Goldmans and the Merrills and the billionaires flooding it with money? And the only reason really is because they've done the analysis and they've determined that they can't get a return on their money that'll justify that risk, and they're leaving that to you. So you have to factor in that if they're promising 10%, 14%, aren't some of those loans going to default? Aren't some of those people that borrowed money going to just turn around and decide not to pay it? Of course. And you're going to be left, in a sense, holding that bag. So whenever you hear the word return, you always equate it with risk. And you'll see that if there's a high return being promised, there's a high risk somewhere, even if they're not making it obvious to you or telling you about it. And this happens all the time in the financial industry, and I'm sorry to say, but that's kind of the standard when clients are promised big things. They're usually not being made fully aware of the risks. So keep that in mind. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any other questions, drop me a line at questions@efrosfinancial.com. Thanks again.